Welcome to the Stone Carvers Guild podcast. Here you will meet a variety of carvers working throughout North America. Drawing on our collective experience, we seek to share knowledge about this ancient art and to do our part to ensure that stone carving will play an important role in built environments for generations to come. So whether you are an experienced carver, new to the craft, or just curious, put on your safety goggles, open up your mind, and welcome to the workshop. Hi, I'm Bethany Lee.
I'm Joel Norwood.
And I'm Matt Johnson.
And this is the Stone Carvers Guild podcast.
It's good to hear from you after not seeing you at the annual meeting.
I was about to say, how are you guys doing? But I know that's too open-ended.
Yes. Matthew, tell us why you were not at the annual meeting.
So first of all, there was the Stone Carvers Guild had its annual meeting this a couple of weeks ago. Is that right? 2 weeks ago.
In the past.
Yeah.
Since the last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's always the annual meeting is just a good time for everybody to get together and talk. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it.
This was on Zoom
this year. It was a Zoom meeting.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is, I guess, a little bit less interactive than actually being in person.
Right.
But it was. Did y'all go? Were y'all able to go?
Yes, we were there.
What happened?
I was promoting the podcast full swing, trying to get new subscribers.
We need to get people to write us some reviews. I saw that we're getting some stars.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Apple Podcast has us at 5 stars, but still no reviews.
Yeah, we need some reviews.
And that offer still holds that the first review is going to be addressed. First positive review.
We'll address the negative.
Will be addressed.
That's right. Yeah. Anything.
No.
Bad and ugly.
Let's reduce the incentive for a negative review. We will only be addressing 5-star reviews.
Okay.
For the time being.
So we also talked about the guild is taking an Italy trip.
Yeah. When is that going to be?
That's to be determined.
Very exciting. Several different sort of options and different trips. Now, I've never been to Italy. Bethany, you've spent a fair amount of time there.
Yeah.
Matt, you?
Yeah, I've been to Italy. It sounds like and one of the options is to focus on Pietrasanta. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And that area. Mm-hmm.
And then there's another one, like someone owns a ranch or something down south. Is that right? What is it? It's some sort of coastal property.
Not coastal. It's between Rome and Naples. And it's an old, originally Benedictine monastery. It's like 1,000 years old. Actually, I don't know how much I should reveal of names, but but a friend of the guild has bought it and is offering it as a residency and workshop and other space. It looks really neat, and it's a little town in Italy.
Yeah.
So they were inviting the guild to do part of their trip there.
I think the trip. I don't know if either of y'all are. It's going to be expensive, which is always a consideration. But traveling with a bunch of stone carvers is kind of a great way to tour a city. We've been to Chicago and New York and Washington, D.C. and of course Indianapolis in the past, and some of these really great older cities in the U.S. that have so much stone carving. And I can only imagine like how long it'll take us to walk a block collectively if we're in Rome or Florence.
I can imagine that becomes a quest at some point with everyone saying, "Oh, look at," because you're detail-minded people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I remember going to you've been to the Academy, Bethany, where
in Carrara?
The David is? No, we're in Florence.
Oh, in Florence. Yes.
When you walk in, the first thing you go through is like a series of incomplete sculptures by Michelangelo, the slaves.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember this or not.
I don't remember that, no.
But my wife and I went and we turned that corner. And so there's like all these incomplete sculptures, which are just fascinating to me, so because like you can you get to the side and you see all the tooling and all of the, you can see like thought process and all this stuff. It took us like an hour and a half to just walk down the hall to where, she was like, come on, let's go see the David. I was like, look at these chisel marks. I'm totally geeking out on it. But, yeah, so I can imagine that's going to be a very fun trip. Probably won't cover a lot of square footage, but we'll really dive in deep with the group. So, speaking of the group,
absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Before we jump forward, listeners, are you interested? Do you want to find out more?
That's right.
Hey, apply for general membership.
StoneCarversGuild.org. It's a trip that would be, it's like I said, it would be an expensive trip, but it's, it would be an extremely rewarding one and available to any general member. So I keep emphasizing the expense. I don't know how much it'll cost. Might be super cheap. I don't know. But it'll be fun.
Nothing's cheap in today's day and age.
And it seems hard.
Such is the cost of wisdom. Anyways. Okay.
What did y'all think about this interview with Franco, one of the founding members of the guild?
Matthew, did you travel with him before on the different trips?
I've met with him multiple times at different meetings, the annual meetings. I wouldn't say I've ever traveled with Franco.
Oh, okay.
Or it's Franco. I guess it's Franco. That was the right way to say it, right, Bethany?
In Texas, it's Franco.
Right.
It's Franco. Yes. I've been calling him Franco for 25 years, and I do in this interview. So now I'm embarrassed about that.
It's fine. What stood out to me, so his background he'll talk about in sort of the machine shop. And then suddenly he was grabbed by this bug of stone carving, and he went through some trials just to follow his passion.
Yeah.
And then also seeing how, though, it has elicited itself emotionally, the creative work he's done. Later in the podcast, if you listen in closely, you might hear some tears. It evoked some emotions in me. So I really love this podcast.
Yeah, he has such an emotional connection to his work. It's really it's rewarding to hear someone talk about just the connection, the emotional connection. It's it's pretty interesting and cool. And like you said, yeah, his journey to make it happen was long.
It was a quest
and full of sacrifice, for sure.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. I mean, compared to the other people we've interviewed, I think the two things that are really different about him are, for one thing, the really deep early roots that connect him with stone carving, but then also in a certain way he came to it later in life. And so I think both of those poles add a really interesting perspective to the art.
Yeah, it's interesting. It makes you wonder, like, were those seeds being planted so early in his life? Is that what it's interesting the pull that they had on him as he got older. So shall we get into it?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the interview with Franco Minervini, stone carver. Lives in New York now, but spent most of his career out of New Jersey. And let's get into it.
Any questions?
How are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
And what have you been up to? Are you still working on projects, or are you
always?
Yeah.
So you're up in New Jersey, right?
No, I'm in New York State right now. I moved up here.
Oh, okay.
I moved up here about 5 years ago.
Where is Marathon? I see this in the notes now. Okay. Marathon, New York?
Correct. Central New York State.
Nice.
Yes, it is very nice here.
And so what are you working on right now?
Right now I'm working on Hands of God, a connection between an artist and nature.
How large of a project is that?
Well, like any other project, piece of cake.
Did you mean
for
physical dimension, Joel?
For a stone carver,
Yeah, exactly. I guess I was talking about dimension wise. Is it fairly large?
Yes, about 2.5 feet wide by 4.5 feet long by 4 feet high. But 2 hands.
And what material?
Wow. Limestone. Most of my work is in limestone.
Is it a commission, or are you just?
No, just for myself for now.
That's nice.
Oh, very nice. It's a pleasure working for myself.
Sure. Yeah, the client is so much easier to deal with.
Yeah, I have a very good client. Yes.
They understand all of the obstacles.
And no problems either.
Yeah, right.
So where did the inspiration for this project come from?
What did it? There is a contest up here for exhibition once a year, and the theme this year is connection, and mine is the connection between an artist and nature. It's 2 hands surrounding a tree, and that's the connection between the artist and nature.
Huh.
And when will it be done?
Photos of it?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Matt.
I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry, Bethany. Yeah.
When will it be done?
Of it? Is it far enough along?
It will be done, as Michelangelo said, when it's finished.
But the contest is a particular date, I assume.
Yes, very good question. In January.
Okay.
I have plenty of time. That's a beauty. I started, in case you want to know how I started, I was born in Italy, and my grandfather taught me how to carve stone at a very early age. I was basically just hanging around his shop. He was a stone carver in Molfetta, Italy. And I just watched him. I used to watch a lot of people carve stone. There were quite a few stone carvers in Molfetta, Italy. And one of them, later on, I came to meet in Washington, D.C. When I first came to America, there were no stone carvers being done that I knew of. But what turned me on to stone carving, I was a sculptor. I studied with Bruno Lucchesi at the New School in Manhattan. But once I saw the documentary, The Stone Carvers of Washington, D.C., that won the Oscar by Marjorie Hunt, that was the turning point of my life. I instantly knew exactly what I had to do. Now, keep in mind, I had a successful business, a machine shop in Freehold, New Jersey. But for some reason, I had to go to Washington, D.C. and do some stone carving. I needed to do some stone carving, like when I was a child. And
how old were you right when you left the machine shop? And
I was in my before. I didn't leave the machine shop. I included my machine shop. I went down to Washington D.C. Luckily, I had a wife that understood me, and with her acceptance, I said to her, "Honey, I'm going down there to learn everything about stone carving for 3-4 weeks, and then I'll come back." Well, 2.5 years later, I finally. Well, I went down there and to apply for a job. I met Vincent Palumbo, the master carver, and he was one of the men that I was watching when I was a child carving stone.
Wow.
The first question he asked me was, "Who's your father?" And I thought that was pretty odd. That why would somebody ask me about my dad? And I told him it was Vincent. And he said, "Who's your grandfather?" And I said, "Well, Michele Minervini." And so I said, "I know him. I worked with him." And I was shocked that he knew my grandfather. And I was shocked that he was from Molfetta, Italy. He, like I said, he was one of the guys I used to watch across the street from my house. And, well, he interviewed me. I got the job, but the job consisted of 3 days a week because I couldn't leave my business. I needed to make a living because what I was getting paid at the cathedral was not very good, not very much. It didn't even cover the hotel bills. I worked on the cathedral on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. It was very, very hard. I would get up at 3:00 in the morning, drive to Washington, D.C., work all day as a stone carver, and then collapse on my bed in the hotel. It was very hard work. Everybody I knew was telling me how crazy I was, and I was. I must have been insane to do this for 2.5 years, and I don't know why I did it. It was just insane.
I was about to ask why. Why is that?
I guess there's such a thing as passion. It's something I had to do. And it was every Friday night I would fight the traffic in Washington, D.C., the Beltway, Baltimore, Philadelphia, and then the New Jersey. And every week I said, "This is crazy. This is nuts. I can't do it. I quit." But come next Tuesday, I couldn't wait to come back.
Wow.
Yeah. So how do you figure that? I used to work at the machine shop Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday for 2.5 years. Insane. It's absolutely insane. Yet I couldn't help it. The only reason I stopped going to DC is because they stopped working. The cathedral was finally done. Yes. So I had to stop going to Washington, D.C. Once I carved one of the last gargoyles. When you carve a gargoyle, you're done. That's it. There's nothing better than a gargoyle.
Just because of the freedom of it? Is that what it is?
No, not the freedom. Is the I guess it was his way of saying he trusted me and my skill at carving the gargoyle. As a stone carver.
Right.
So what did you remember from what you learned from your grandfather as opposed to what did you learn at the National Cathedral?
I don't know. I asked them myself. I mean, I wasn't a skilled carver, but I just used to watch a lot. I looked at him a lot. And I guess knowledge crept into me, knowledge I didn't know I had, passion I didn't know I had.
So you said you were originally from which town in Italy?
Molfetta.
And what region of Italy is that?
In Puglia, at the heel.
In the heel. Oh, okay. So that's not. So what is that a carving center? So that's not Carrara and Pietrasanta. That's
No, it's not Carrara, but at the time it was. After World War II, and before World War II, it was pretty much stone carving was. There was a lot of it.
And what kind of stone?
A lot of marble.
Okay.
And sandstone, believe it or not. In fact, there was one story that, not story, but while I was working with my grandfather, just hanging around, really. But I took a piece of sandstone, really lousy stone, tufal, it's called, and I tried to carve a face, and it was so bad. I didn't tell anybody. I was not happy with it. I took it up to the roof of where I lived, and I threw it off the roof. It was so bad. Oh my God! I said I had no talent, but I judged my work with the work of my grandfather, which was absolutely silly. But it's a child. I was a child. Now I think it was silly, but at the time I felt really bad. But the quality of stone was very bad, and they have a lot of hard stone in Molfetta. Okay. Excuse me, or the region.
I was just wondering because I feel like you have a window into. Well, I don't know if Molfetta is still a stone carving area.
No, it is no longer. No.
Okay, so can you? I mean, so your childhood then is kind of this window into a world that pretty much nobody knows about. Can you tell us a little bit, like, what was it like? What was the stone carving? Like, what are the memories that you have of growing up there, learning stone carving, your grandfather, like things that people just wouldn't know about?
Not very many. It's just that I was used to just going with my grandfather to my mom said to help him out. It was really the other way around. But it was a lot of architectural work with very little artistic work, which is what I do now, what I have been doing.
And how old were you?
9, 10,
okay,
11. And when I came here, like I said, I was looking for jobs around carving stone, but there was no such thing in New Jersey. I studied art. I've always studied art. I studied with Bruno Lucchesi, one of the best in Manhattan, and I knew I could sculpt. But it wasn't until I saw Marjorie's Hunt documentary that won the Oscar in 1985, I believe, 84, that I said I had to do it. I don't know what happened, but I just had to do it. It was a financial loss, but an emotional miracle.
Who was working at the cathedral at that time?
Well, Vincent Palumbo was the master carver, but there were many other young artists working. Right now, it was a while ago, so I don't remember the last names of many of them. But it was a lot of fun. It was more than fun. It was a need.
Some of our past guests have worked there as well. I was just wondering if Malcolm or Patrick or Walter were
they worked there, but not at the same time. I came after them.
Time. Okay. Well, so you really were there right at the end when it
correct.
Yeah. But it's still unfinished. Is that right? I mean, there's still.
Well, it will never be 100% finished. There's always, once you finish the end, you have to start all over again from the beginning. So it's always a work in progress. I'm sure there are still carvers there now.
Well, I know that they had some damage during the earthquake a few years
Correct.
ago, and now I think they're doing some CNC work to replace some of the finials.
But I worked for Ray Caskey, who had made a sculpture in Nashville, Tennessee, at the Schermerhorn Symphony Hall. Most of it was done CNC, but I was hired to go into finish the underside of all the sculptures. It was faster for me to do it than for them to program it.
That's really fun. Ray Caskey is in my building.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's just upstairs from me right now. In fact, he might be there right now. That's really cool. I think, didn't Malcolm Harwell also did some work for Ray Caskey?
I don't know.
So you didn't work with Malcolm on that?
No, I didn't. Okay. I never had the pleasure. But I worked for Ray Caskey in New Jersey at the where there was a CNC machine. And the CNC machine sometimes makes a mistake. And a sculptor can't afford to make a single mistake. That's why I was there. And I was in New Jersey. Otherwise, he would have had other sculptors do it, I'm sure.
Now, are those mistakes from just bad programming or that you've seen, or?
No, I know about CNC machines because I worked in a machine shop, and I had two CNC machines working for metal. But mistakes do happen. Programming, yes. Dull tools, yes. Sometimes runaway tools. Many mistakes happen with CNC. They are not as perfect as they make it out to be. That's why they need a human to make the judgment. So
we have an ongoing discussion here on the podcast about pneumatic tools versus just hammer and chisel, and there's a good quote. Matt talked about how not letting the chisel get in front of, going faster than Matt. You can say it better than me, but
correct,
getting in front of your brain. Not letting your mind and hand lead it, not letting the tool lead it.
Very good, very good. Now imagine the computer not caring what it does except what it's been told to do.
Right,
that's crazy. But they will use CNC machines. Even if they scrap a certain percentage, even if 10% of their work is crap, they will still use it. But to a sculptor, 10% of the damage is not acceptable.
Sure.
I didn't quite follow that. So wait, say that again.
Every CNC machine makes mistakes.
Okay.
I say percentage 5, 10%, or even 1%.
Wait, how does the CNC machine make a mistake? You mean like you program it and it does something that you don't actually want it to do, or it doesn't go where it's supposed to go?
Both ways. Sometimes it's the programming. Sometimes the tool that it uses is not sharp enough, and it goes where it shouldn't go.
Okay.
And nobody will tell you that, but that's the fact. And like I said, when you make multiple architectural work, that's okay, because you can afford to lose a certain amount.
Oh, got it. Okay.
But
so there are mistakes, but somebody just looking at it isn't going to notice right off the bat.
Correct.
Okay.
But a sculptor cannot accept that.
Got it. Okay.
And that's where the human stone carver is valuable.
Okay.
And damn the machine.
So I think in terms of guests that we've had on the program so far, you might be the one who has the most expertise in CNC machines, robotics. I don't know actually the proper term for it, because you said you were using CNC machines in your machine shop already.
Machine shop.
Right?
I understand them. I also understand their weakness.
Got it. Huh. So then how, like, what are your thoughts on the relationship between, I mean, you shared a little bit, but obviously you're an artist and a sculptor. And can you share with us some of your thoughts about integrating the robotics and the artistic end of it and the machine and the hand? Yeah. What are your thoughts on the fact that the robots are taking over
I understand the question. It is inevitable.
Okay.
You have to live with the machines. But you also have to understand where the stone carver's value comes in.
Mm-hmm.
You can't replace the artistic value of a human being. The machine does only what it is told to do, but the stone carver will do things that the machine cannot do. The undercutting of everything is well, very, very, of course, very important. But that's what the machine's weakness are. That's what a person outperforms a machine.
Mm-hmm.
A man understands three-dimensional. A man understands. When I say man, I mean man or a human, I guess. Understands the artistic value. Machine does not understand a thing about art.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were a sculptor, I would hire a person, not a machine. Yes, I do have a experience on that. And like I said, I also know the weaknesses of the machine. It's impossible to ignore the machines, especially for multiple pieces of stone of the same design.
Oh, sure. Okay.
So that's what the machine is good. But when a sculptor makes art, you can't replace a person.
So in your private work, so for instance, the piece that you're making right now, how much are you using robotics for that? How much are you using pneumatic tools, and how much are you using hammer and chisel?
Well, 99% pneumatic tool. No machines, no CNC. No, I wouldn't let the machine near it. But well, at my age, I don't let anybody do it.
It's not just a machine.
No, the work I'm doing right now is just absolute pleasure.
In a world with so much changing technology, air quotes technology and advancements, I think it's easy maybe to have this sort of atmosphere of fear sometimes, of saying, the robots are going to take over the world, take our jobs, no matter what industry you're in.
Yes, true.
What's your experience there? You have this unique, again, background between the machine shop and the stone carving studio. So what's your perspective on fear in technology as it continues to grow?
Well, I feel that technology sometimes runs away, just like pretty much like we couldn't talk on a landline. With all the technologies we have, still we cannot have a conversation on the phone.
Yeah,
in other words,
funny how that works?
Technology runs away on itself. It's just there's so much to There's so much advanced technology going on right now. But even with artificial intelligence, cannot replace the value of art.
Mm-hmm.
It will make its own art, but not like we do, not like a stone carver does.
I wonder sometimes if it's going to end up changing our expectations of art more, just to kind of, not to make a judgment call, but to dumb it down, to make us expect less.
That is exactly what they would like us to believe. But as stone carvers, we know better.
Yeah, we're going to hold on.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, we are not going away. There will always be stone carvers. It will never be a dead. What I've been hearing it all my life. It's,
dying art.
Oh, yeah.
A dead art. No, baloney. Yeah. It'll never be dead. As long as people appreciate art, there will be stone carvers, and we'll only get better and better because we have to fight the technology.
Well, and because we've been living with the sword of Damocles over our head for our entire lives, or at least our professional lives.
Matthew, would you like to explain what the sword of Damocles is?
I don't know the act. It means the imminent destruction.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, ever since I started, people have been like, "Oh, that's a dying art."
Exactly. I've been hearing that all of my life, and there was a time that I thought it was true until I saw that documentary that really turned my life around. Something happens in your life to make changes. That documentary affected me.
I've never seen the documentary.
Yeah, neither have I.
I've read the book. The book is really cool.
You got to see it. The Stone Carvers of Washington, D.C.
Cool.
About the old timers, Vincent Palumbo, all the past carvers there.
Cool.
So when you left the cathedral after 2.5 years, where did you went back to New Jersey, and did you start your own shop immediately, or what happened then?
Okay. After the cathedral, Vincent Palumbo called me and asked me if I could work at the White House. He was involved in reconstruction of the White House, and I went there for 2 months, and it was in August and September of '89, and oh man, it was so hot. I didn't, and it was architectural. It wasn't artistic, so I didn't stay long. Only 2 months, and I left.
Did you stay to the end of the job, or did you leave before the job was done?
I think I left before the job was done, but it was architectural. Anybody could do that. Well, not anybody, but it wasn't artistic enough for me to get up in the morning and drive to DC and stay there and lose income from my machine shop. After the cathedral, there's nothing better. Even the White House.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool.
Do they schedule work? Do they schedule work in that time? Because that's when Washington used to be everybody left. Because it was so hot, swampy.
No, there were a lot of carvers from the DC area. I was the only one from New Jersey. The only crazy one to do that.
How far of a drive was it?
3 hours, 3.5 hours sometimes.
Wow.
On the way there. On the way back, it was up to 5 hours, depending on the traffic.
3 a.m., 3.5 hours, but any other time.
Yeah.
3.5 hours and like 10 gray hairs.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Every week on Friday night, I said to myself, I can't do it. This is the last. I gotta quit. I can't do this. Then I worked at the machine shop Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to come back, to go back.
Oh no.
What do you call that other than passion? Or the better word is stupidity. Well, I wasn't stupid.
I like that quote you said earlier. Yeah, financial loss, but an emotional miracle.
Yes.
It took a lot of work for you just to follow through on the thing that you enjoyed doing, including kind of losing money doing it by the sound of it.
It took a lot of balls.
Yes, it did. Do you have any advice to others? Say, hey, pursue your passions, or hey, just stay in the machine shop. What would you tell others?
Well, no matter what I told myself, it's just something I had to do it. Yeah, you do it. You have to do it, not for any other reason other than for self-growth. You have to follow your passion. It's for self-growth, for my own selfish interest. And that's the truth. I mean, I love working. I mean, I did a sculpture. One of my best is a monument to the September 11 victims. It was a beautiful monument I made, but it was tormenting. When I spoke to the family, it was so painful, and it really tested everything in my soul, in my art. I drew, I sculpted an eagle clutching a beam from the World Trade Center. If you check it out, it's worth a look at. September 11 monument. And the face of the eagle, very, very important. I spent more time on the face than I did in the whole rest of the eagle. The face had to be perfect, meaning it had to convey every emotion that happened on that day. Vengeful, so many. So I made one face in clay, and it was too angry. An eagle, it looks too angry. I didn't want it to look angry. And it took me, to make a long story short, it took me 9 tries before I looked at it and I said, this is the face. I was so happy. I mean, the amount of time that I put into that, it was ridiculous. But I was so happy at the end. That's when I knew I am an artist.
When you were going through that process, how did you keep your eyes fresh so that, when you're looking at the 5th or the 6th edit, it seems like you could start to feel a little blurry. How did you reset your brain to look at each face fresh? Or was that not an issue?
No, it was an issue. I had to judge myself, and the process is like, excuse me, never ending. It's like you go to sleep thinking about it, you dream about it, you wake up thinking about it, and in my dreams, in my sleep, it tells me if it's good enough or not. I learned to trust myself while I sleep.
Wow.
Yeah. It was amazing. So the many things that I didn't know I worried about, they came through. It just was a natural thing that happened. I don't know what you call it, but it was in me.
So on the 9th edit, the dream that night, or maybe at some point,
at the ninth try, I was happy, and I slept much better.
I was about to ask, how did you get the steel beam in the 911 in the talons of the stone stone carving? That's what I want to know.
Oh my God. That was one of the things I used to think about before going to bed. It was, I tried many ways. I thought about many ways, but it didn't come to me until it had to. 2 weeks before the unveiling of the eagle, I came up with an answer, and that I did it that way. I put it on the eagle, and then I carved the talons after. I put the talons on the beam instead of the other way around.
But it was still the same piece of stone, or did you use it like a Dutchman or equivalent?
Attachments. It was this from the same block that I had saved, but it was different pieces that I had to epoxy in and make them look natural.
Yeah.
So, Franco, okay. I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit what the experience was like for you of going from working in a workshop at the cathedral to then carving on your own.
Interesting.
Did you think of stopping, or
no? I could no.
Going, and how did you decide what to do?
Well, I did things on my own, but there was another turning point. There was a commission. I belonged to an Italian American club, and they needed in 1992 something to celebrate the Columbus voyage to America, and they asked me to come up with a design, and I did, and I got the job, but the job only paid $1.
Did you take your wife out to dinner?
And but again, people thought I was crazy for doing this. I closed the shop for 3 months to carve this monument to the voyage of Columbus, not the man himself. And they all thought I was crazy. I mean, it is crazy. Why would anybody do this? But that monument made me available for other commissions. The September 11th was my best and biggest one. And there was a contest of a design. There was, I think, 48 entries. And I was among 10 of them that were chosen. From then, they chose 3. I was among them. And then they finally chose my design. And that was my biggest and best work. A very passionate work. It was heartbreaking work because, well, everybody remembers 9/11 and the agony that it showed. It was heartbreaking work to talk to the families of those that perished. It was, I mean, they were all so young. And but and it was the importance of that monument that I had to do my best, regardless of how many hours you put in. It will last. Somebody asked me how long do I guarantee my work for? I told them 500 years.
All right. What material was it?
Limestone. I like limestone, Indiana limestone.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah. Where where is it in New York? Is it inside or is it outside?
No, it's outside in Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey, and it's a perfect setting, the highest place on the East Coast. It overlooks New York City, and it's perfect. Well, I'm biased anyway. But they at one point they brought the beam to my machine shop where I carved the monument. And at one point I was alone with the beam. Oh my God, that was scary.
How big is it?
It's about 6 feet, 7 feet long.
Wow.
Yeah. No, you have to see it. This beam, I looked at it and it's twisted in such a way. I said, what power could possibly make a beam like this twist like that? The beam is the real monument. My job was easy to just make it like bring this beam up to heaven and hope that the souls of those that died followed the beam up to heaven with the eagle. It's an emotional work. I hope you check it out. Google my name. I'm sure it'll come up somehow.
Yeah, we'll put images in the show notes, and also it's on your website. I'm actually looking at it right now.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
It seems like on the commissions that you've been describing that you really put yourself emotionally into every commission to varying degrees, but that there's an investment of your heart into your work.
Absolutely right.
Is that hard to? I mean, sometimes it must be a little taxing. I mean, how do you wrestle with that?
It is taxing, and I just dealt with it. I don't know how. It runs your life as long as the work is done, but it all makes it all worthwhile when it's the unveiling. If you see the eagle, the wings of the eagle, it's impossible. It's almost impossible to carve stone without breaking. Yet it exists. I had to make the body a bit thicker than usual because otherwise the wings would break. So you have to do a lot of thinking when you carve those wings.
And that's that. So is that a single block there as well? Is that those wings are there joint lines that you've hidden?
It's all one piece from tip to wing to the other, and the head is a different piece, and the talons are different pieces.
Got it.
If you notice the talons don't bend the way I made them, but it didn't look good. So I made the talons bend so it looks better and more convincing. Sometimes you have you have to make them look better than they actually are. That's another thing. I mean, I could have made the talons like they really are, long, stiff nails, but they didn't look good. So I carved other. I put a lot of work into that, but the work was all done. And the best part of all, the families. Excuse me. I still get emotional. The families liked it, and nothing else matters.
Right. That's when it seems like that the emotional investment would become an investment, not a tax.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it comes back to you.
I still, I can't believe this. But yeah. It's still. But you incorporate your emotion in every piece that I did. That's why I only do artwork, because I need to express that in stone. When you make your stone, when you turn your stone into emotion, I do something. That's when I know I did something.
That's wow. What a great way to. Should we wrap it up a little bit? I know there's a lot of stories, Franco, that we want to hear from you, and I think we'll love to have you back.
Well, call me back anytime.
Yeah, thank you so much, Franco. I really appreciate you taking the time to troubleshoot technology with us.
Mm-hmm.
I do have questions about pointing machines, so we will have to have you come back because.
Oh yes, I forgot that.
I've had the honor of working with one of your pointing machines.
Oh wow!
It's very it's fun to interact. The few times that I've used it, I think about you.
Thank you. Oh my God!
I mean, it's a machine, but it's like I can tell, like it's made with it's made with the carver in mind. Really,
absolutely. Oh my God! I can't believe it.
Really appreciate it.
I did many of them for the cathedral. Bethany, pleased to have met you.
Very nice to meet you too. Thank you so much for your time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. You've been listening to the Stone Carvers Guild podcast. We hope you've enjoyed this conversation, and we hope that you will find us online at stonecarversguild.org. There you can find photos showing some of the things that we discussed today, additional information about our guest, and if you're so inclined, ways to get more involved with the Guild and our ongoing activities. And of course, if you've enjoyed this podcast, we hope that you will subscribe and rate us on the podcaster of your choice. 5 stars, please. We'll be back in a month with a new episode, so until then, keep your hammer up and your chisel sharp.